Yeah. We are back once again. Thank you all for tuning in. We are so excited to be here. It's going to be a good one. We are unedited, unfiltered, and always, we are going raw. My name is Joey.
And I'm Eric, and we're your hosts, and welcome to Raw Minds. Hell yeah, man.
Yep. We doing it big, bro. We doing it
Yeah,
big.
buddy.
That's what we do.
Yeah, man. Exciting. We got some big things happening up here and coming up in this week, man. So, pushing out a lot of new content. So, look out for that. Show some love and hit the like button.
You know it. And for all you listening and all you just tuning in, we greatly appreciate it. And if you don't know us, we are Raw Minds, the first podcast on men's mental health. Uh, Myself and my co host Eric, we have lived our lives in trauma and chaos and pain and suffering. And to be able to come out of that, to sit here tonight and every other week that we do this, is to really try to give back and help the ones that feel lost,
Yeah.
the ones that are broken. So if you are new and listening, if you feel you need to talk, if you have no source or family, we're your family. Hit us up at rawmindspodcast@gmail.com. We will answer all your messages, all your emails. We will help you find sources to get help, even if we don't live in the town that you live in. That's what we're all about, and that's what we do. So, if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're not, welcome back because we doing it again. We doing it again.
Yeah, man. Just to put out there, too, we're not doctors, we're not counselors, any of that. We're two workers that are in construction that just give our advice on what we think of that shit. Take it or not, it's up to you.
Yeah, but you know what? There's someone who's gone to school for 10 years who hasn't lived that
Yeah,
life, and there's people like us who's lived our whole life like that.
yeah, man.
And from suicide attempts to loss of children, loss of nephews and family and fiancés and
Hmm.
custody battles to the list goes on to sexually and physically abused as children. Um, we've lived it. We've been through it. To be sitting here even tonight sometimes is amazes me on to be able to push through what I've pushed through, what you pushed through, and I'm beyond blessed
Hmm.
that I was able to push through. Barely, but I
Hmm.
did it.
Well,
And the reason why we're doing this is to let you know that there are better days on the other end of that.
100%, man.
I promise you. And the feeling how you guys are feeling right now might feel like it'll never go away, but it's temporary. But you just got to put in the work. So,
100%, man.
yeah, buddy.
Yep. You know what my therapist told me, or counselor, whatever you want to call her. She said it's a miracle that I'm still standing here after I like gave her the rundown. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm laying down. I'm not standing. I was chilling out, man, and it was it was crazy though. It blew my mind like what she said. So good things are happening, man. Opening up new doors. So I mean, I'm doing it. I think everybody else should get a counselor, speak your mind, and get some of that shit off your chest. It helps you
You
grow.
have to.
Yeah, man, it helps you grow.
I tell you, man, when my last breakdown of life, I knew I had to get help. I knew I
Mhm.
needed to talk to someone. I knew I didn't want to feel like that ever
Yeah,
again.
man.
And when I got that counseling, I tell you, man, that changed my
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
it gave me new perspectives on the stories that I told in myself growing up. And I look forward to it
Yeah.
every Monday night, whatever the day it was. I can't remember, but I was like, no, man, I'm this is what I'm doing. I would even call, can I come early? Because either I was still struggling, I needed to talk, or I just couldn't wait to go again. Because every time I left counseling or my therapist or whatever, I found a new tool on how to deal with this situation, how to deal with those negative
Yeah,
thoughts,
man.
how to pick myself up. And as we always preach in the show, is to do that one extra percent a day, that one degree to better yourself and to pull yourself out of that hole.
Exactly. But it,
So it is the most highly recommended, and even if your life is great, you got money in the bank, you haven't struggled, I tell you, man, still go to a counselor
yeah,
because you just
man.
learn things about yourself. Nobody's perfect, and everybody on the planet has problems.
Everybody's
Every one of us.
fucked. Everybody's
We all have, we all deal with mental struggles. We all deal with life struggles. We all deal with whatever it is, relationships, whatever.
Mhm.
We all got issues, and I tell you, man, once you hit these things head on and turn around and face these demons, man, the clarity in your mind
Nose ring.
on your day to day going forward is. I never thought I could get to this point in my life, and I still struggle. Don't get me wrong; we all have issues,
Mhm.
but the clarity in my mind today compared to 20 years of what I had to deal with a poison
Yeah.
mind, I never thought I could get to this point because I did
Yeah.
that. Along with other things, your fitness, those are huge and this kind of things. But that main mental change where I'm like, I need to fix me.
Yeah.
I need to talk. I need to figure this out. And
100.
I did it. And it is the best thing I ever did. And now I can be more attentive to my
Yeah.
children. I can be a better friend. I can be a better son. And I can be a better person. And I was never trying to be a bad person. And none of us really are for the most part. But because we're struggling on the day to day with life, we're on autopilot. Like there's nothing behind the eyes, a lot of us. We're functioning, but we're not there because all you can focus on is what's wrong. Why are you so messed up? Why are you struggling?
Yeah, man.
So once you're able to tackle that and hit that head on, man, I tell you the clarity and how you talk on your day to day changes. Your mood
Yeah.
changes,
Even give me breathing
and
techniques. They teach you all this stuff. I mean, I've been in and out of counseling my whole life. Let's face it, right? I really have. But it's like when you're old enough to really like smart enough and be like, okay, I'm gonna apply what they give. Because I mean, they've told me things before. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and I never did. Right? To be honest with you. But when you actually apply to these things and do it, that's when the real work happens.
well, like you said, breath work and all
Yeah.
these little
Yeah.
things. For years, I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm not doing it. That's dumb. But when I went through my last breakdown,
Yeah.
and I knew I needed to change, and I was finally done. That was my turning point. I didn't care how dumb I used to think it was. I'm like, I've never tried it. Apparently, it works. Do this. I'm like, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it. I was doing sleep meditation, breath work, fucking you name it, yoga. I was going yoga,
Mm.
all this shit. And you know what? Every time I did each and every one of those things, I felt a little bit
We
better.
should
So I kept
we
doing
should do goat yoga.
it. Go yoga.
I've seen it, man. It's a true thing.
But you know what I mean? It's all these little tiny things, and a lot of it you can do in your own
Yeah.
home, is just so simple. And by applying that on your day to day, like doing that one thing that's out of your routine, as we always preach, you got to do something every day that's outside of your routine. If you don't make your bed, make your
Yeah.
bed. If go for a walk now every day for 10
Yeah.
minutes. Like it's the small, dumb little things that I used to be like, that's dumb. I don't need to, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, you start applying all these little things, and over time, dude, your life is going in such a different direction, and you're finding all these other little things to look forward to now, because now you're doing something you never thought you would enjoy. Now you're doing something like me. I was I was never an outdoors hiker guy. But when I was struggling, man, I put my shoes on. I went around the lake. I just kept doing that, going for walks. Man, I've never looked at nature the way I look at it
Yeah.
now. That saved my life.
Yeah.
And I used to hate hiking. I'm like, no, I'll go to the gym, but I don't want to go for hikes, man. That's dumb.
Yeah, man.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
But it's just whatever it is that you need in your day that you can find, man. The way your life and the direction it goes will change drastically
100%.
just by doing one thing every day that's out of your routine.
Well, I think it's time to introduce our guest.
Is it that
It
time?
is that
Oh, it
time.
sure is. We are grateful that our guest has decided to come on our show today. What this man has witnessed in his childhood and growing up, where he's from, uh, I guarantee 99% of the people listening to this have never seen it. And I hope that you never have to. But the fact that this gentleman has wanted to come onto our show, talk a little bit about his upbringing, and maybe shed some light on the traumas and the scary parts of life
Mm-hmm.
that some people do witness and certain people do have to endure and some people do have to deal with, right? Like the aftermath
Yeah.
of traumatic things that we see. And
The tremors, man.
so the tremors, the PTSDs, the all these things, when you come to having to see what this gentleman has had to witness, and for him to be here today, we are more than grateful and excited. So let's introduce our guest, Kay. Thank you so much for coming on to our
Yeah,
show.
thanks, Kay, man. Really appreciate you coming out and having a chat with
Hi, man.
us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
kind of new in all of this podcast life, to be honest. Not
Cool.
very used to being live TV or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're famous, bud. You're
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, but I think what you're doing, guys, is amazing, and
Thank you.
that and it's very necessary.
Yeah.
Like I think we as men, we've been trained to not talk about our feelings, to because it's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
because classic like if you're gonna look weak and maybe your girl is gonna leave you because you're gonna feel weak, and it's not true.
Yeah.
Like that's why there's a lot of suicides
Yeah,
with
man.
men, because we have to hold it.
Yeah.
We don't feel appreciated most of the time, and we break our backs working, dealing with a lot of things, plus coming home and dealing with a lot of things, and you have to hold it until one day it's too much.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
that's the way people feel.
You just get tired, right?
So yeah, yeah. I got. I mean, I have a very, very, very close friend, and that's the reason I basically. Well, it was kind of the breaking point when I decided to move here to Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because I was thinking about moving from Mexico City,
Mm-hmm.
and then just one day, from one week into another, my this friend who was my neighbor at the same time, he decided to kill himself, and it just shocked me because I supposed to he was struggling, having some economical problems, but not a big deal. And suddenly, like I saw him on Friday, and then I told him like, "Hey, don't worry, I come back on Monday. Just gotta go a business trip this weekend. I'll come back on Monday, and I help you out. Like we can make some strategy. We can look for something."
Mm-hmm.
And that Monday, they called me and they said like, "Bro, this guy is gone," and it really shocked me. And the next day, I went to his apartment, and everything was clean and nothing was messy. And I remember I talked to my dad, and I said like, I don't understand. Like, and my dad says like, well, you don't know, man. Like when you get alone, those four walls, they can hit you hard and they can touch you really strong.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know. It takes takes 2 minutes. So since then, I said like, fuck, like I just, I said like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like I just don't want to deal with it. And at some point, I felt kind of guilty because I said like maybe I could help him more, maybe I could do something. And I don't know. I always he helped me a lot when I got separated
Yeah.
over there because he was older. He was divorced, 2 kids. He was a present father, and suddenly I even saw myself like him probably in the future because I saw him like kind of having a good life, and suddenly that happened, and it's when I decided to came here. And I mean, I don't know, it came here as an accident. Like somebody invited me, and I said, like, okay, Vancouver, whatever. I just go. I just want to be out of here. This
Mm-hmm.
vibe. And at some point, I remember like I was here on the beach, and I was feeling like I needed to talk to him. And at some point, I made like kind of a ritual, like saying like, bro, look at this sunset, man. You're missing this. You're missing this, bro. Like you could even send everything to fuck off and travel. Even if you're lowest, like just leave, travel.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what happened. There was no note, nothing. It was just like that. And later on, we never saw the signs of
Mm-hmm.
that. And yeah, like that really hits me, like
Yeah,
when I was
man.
there.
That's the hard
But
part too, though. Is like you
yeah,
really don't know. I mean, look at Robin Williams, man. That guy
yeah,
was a comedian actor. You'd think like he's the funniest guy in the world. You wouldn't even know. You know.
yeah, exactly.
Well, comedy, they always say that comedy comes from a dark place,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah,
And the signs of depression is the funniest and loudest guy in the room.
Yeah.
The guy you think has it all together, the guy that you think has all these friends and
yeah,
he's making everybody laugh. But ask that guy how he's doing outside of that party or outside of the house he's in.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, I bet you any money that guy is fucking struggling.
Yeah, man.
And
Oh yeah,
he is hurting. Because
Mm.
you know what? I was that guy. I try to make everybody laugh. I was always kind of that guy growing up until when I did my therapy, I look back and I'm like, man, I was using humor
yeah,
to cover my pain because I didn't want to see anyone to see that. So sometimes, like you said, you didn't see the signs, and sometimes there is none.
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember, growing up, dude, they always tell you what the signs are. They're giving away their stuff. They're messaging everyone, just tell my son I love him. And like, you get some people that are like that, but majority is, like these rock stars and all these famous people, they had everything:
Mm-hmm.
money, fame, women, nice wife, kids, you name it, fancy cars. And then I would always wonder sometimes, I'm like, how the fuck does someone that has everything that 99% of the people wish they had shoot himself in the head or kill himself? But then, even though I don't have millions of dollars, I have a lot in my life, but I understand it now because it doesn't matter the material things. Is what's going on between your ears is a dangerous or can be a dangerous
Yeah.
place.
yeah,
No amount of money, no fancy car, no 30 friends and 5 kids can change that with some people because they battle themselves every day.
yeah. I think it's like when you have that hole here, and I don't know, it's when you actually just feel it like one day and you can go rock bottom, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to come out right from there.
Buddy, that's what happened to
So
me overnight. My
yeah,
my late fiance, she passed away 8 months ago on Father's Day. I went to sleep, woke up, and my whole life changed. So I
yeah,
totally get it, man. It's hard, but you know what? The life keeps on going. And that's the thing is that if we don't keep on moving with this Earth that's spinning, they say, um, then
yeah,
you're just gonna get left behind. You know, we have to keep on getting. We have to push forward, even though as hard as it is. That's why we reach out and we have to talk to people and use the resources that we have out there to help. uh, give us that little boost so we can go forward, but we have to still keep moving forward.
Yeah, totally. Like I don't know, from all the things that I lived and all the violence since I was a kid. I mean, where I come from is well, Mexico is, especially in the 80s. Uh, it's very rough.
Hmm.
Like you don't see those things like these kids that they can misbehave and you do nothing. In those days, you misbehave, they beat you, and
Yeah.
it's really easy. And then I remember that. I mean, the relationship with my family was like really, really bad when they used to drink. Like they were the best people in the world, but as soon as they start partying, and it was almost every weekend,
Hmm.
they used to have a lot of parties at home, and every time the guests leave is when the hell start. And I remember hearing them screaming. I hear my mom screaming sometimes. When I became a teenager, like used to, my sister and I, we used to like hug ourselves like in the bedroom, like just hearing everything. And then as soon as I became a teenager, I think now I can see things different, but I thought that in those moments, uh, he felt like he was gonna lose territory. I don't know. I thought that always, and I wasn't a normal kid. I was always kind of a weirdo. Instead of being like the cool kid, I was more like a geek, like a nerd. I was more in. It was. I mean, I have ADHD and I have like this obsessive compulsive disorder. So I was
Hmm.
very hyperactive at the same time. So
Hmm.
my dad was kind of frustrated with me. He was always telling me that I was an asshole, that I was a weirdo, and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I got like, I remember one day like I hear my mom screaming and I wake up and I went there and my butt I put in the middle of them and I just got beaten like crazy. Until one night I decided to stay awake to see what was really happening. And then I remember I hear my mom provoking my dad so he could like blow out.
Hmm.
And it was so toxic that like I was like, please just just get I needed to leave.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave from the beginning.
How old were you?
I was like I was, since I was a kid it was that situation, but when that happened I was like 13.
Okay.
I was in high school, junior high,
Yeah.
and I remember like I used to yell at him like, "Come on, this is affecting me." And he was like, "Why?" And they tried to be like curious. And the next weekend, same thing. One day, I remember I used to have something good at school, and I was supposed to do a presentation, and then they have this situation again. The yelling
Hmm.
got inside, and my dad took it as a challenge, and he fucking beat me against a truck, and I was full of bruises, and I wanted to go to school like that so they could see him,
Yeah.
and they didn't let me go out of the house in those days.
Just called you
So it
in
was
sick.
very, yeah, they
Yeah.
called me sick, and
Mm.
I was there, and I lost that presentation. I was supposed to give it a speech, and I lost it, and I felt really, really frustrated
Yeah.
all my life, and I really felt a lot of hate for them,
Yeah.
for him especially. And
And then you probably
even one,
brought that to school with you too, right? Because you're holding that as a child, right?
the main problem is like when you have that situation. And I was going to public school in Mexico, and it was
Hmm.
full of gangs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you end up in a part of a gang. Why?
Yeah.
Because you want to be part of a group. You need somebody to cover your back.
Yeah.
So you need somebody who actually can protect you.
Yeah.
And
That's what happened to me, man. Same exact thing.
yeah,
It came from a broken home, and then my dad ran off and I found my family in gangs, and
yeah.
that's was my family at that time. So I like
The only
it
thing
took
is like,
broken homes, man. That's what
yeah.
pushed us.
The only thing that I learned well way later is that at the end you're looking love. I mean, you're looking for that love that you don't have, and you're
Yeah.
looking for that example that you don't have because
Yeah.
you feel lost.
Yeah,
You
100%.
don't have somebody who guides you, saying like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is the way. This is the other way." Nobody's there,
Yeah.
so you're alone.
Yeah,
And I
man.
remember The moment I felt broken and my life changed is one day that I remember my mom got drunk and we started arguing for no reason, and then she just kicked me out of the house. And it was like 11 at night, and I was like, they used to like say like get out, but this time was serious. So I was literally on the street, and I was like 13 years old, and I was like at night just walking,
It's dangerous too.
and I went to see like some family member, and my family was very toxic as well. So I went to see her, and I knocked the door, and she didn't open the door. She saw me on the window through the window, and she just looked at me like, no. And I felt really alone. So I remember I went to
Mm.
the street. I went to There was a hospital nearby, so I went to a waiting room on the hospital, and they kicked me out from there. And I was like, didn't know where to go. So in my fantasy, I remember I was still dreaming that I was looking for some garage, and I was looking at the fancy's house.
Mhm.
So maybe I said like maybe if I look for a good family here, they're gonna see me sleeping on the street, and they're gonna say like, oh, look at this cute guy. Like maybe you want to sleep inside though.
Mhm.
But it wasn't there. Like I still remembering the smell of the asphalt wet when I was sleeping there. So I sleep a couple of nights on the street, and then since that moment, I remember I was there, and I said like, well, Kate, like there's nobody there, man, and nobody will be there. So it's you. So you better start dealing with this shit because that's it.
Mhm.
And then I started making my own way. I remember I got a job uh, on as a I was like carrying boxes from a supermarket at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was going to high school after that. And but still, I mean, you need to relieve. So it's when I start drinking because now I had money.
Mhm.
So now I can do whatever I want. So now it's me against them. So you start like that, and you start meeting like like very interesting people in the way, you know.
Yeah.
And then the situation it wasn't like the way it was, like with the crime over there. It was on those days there was, but it wasn't like what it became later.
Yeah.
So so I became more like my own boss on those days. But yeah, what you are when you are in gangs, like you really are looking for love, and you get more
Mhm.
violent.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You end up getting more punches, more beating, and then you're released. You're putting all that violence into people that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So you create a hole in here. It's very empty. Then you try to change, but you try to do things on your own, and you don't know, but you keep that with yourself. And it's when sometimes if you drink, that thing is gonna come up,
Yeah.
and that person is gonna come up, and it's when everything gets destroyed. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened when I was finally like Mexico City, like living, and I was very in love with this person. But we used to drink together, both of us. So in some point, I was kind of repeating the story, like both of us partying on the weekend and suddenly arguing after partying. So unconsciously, you start creating the same situation, and you
Mhm.
became the guy you hate.
Yeah.
Because I always said, like, never gonna be like him. And one day I became like him. So it was really hard for me, like, to
Like,
to screw things up like that. And when uh, she left for she left me for my neighbor, right crossing the alley.
wow.
So I was destroyed. I never saw that coming. So I was like, I thought I was like happy and in love, but in some point I stopped looking at her,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly there was no turning back.
Well, do you feel like you pushed her away in that sense then? Because of
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah,
we did. Like, yeah, totally.
because you're just letting
Like,
your own mental health really get to you without really dealing with it.
yeah, because very mature. I was very mature in those days, and
Yeah,
you try to prove your manhood
yeah,
in the wrong way.
yeah,
You try to be the alpha.
yeah.
You try to impress her being the alpha. Like, I can get this fucking guy. I
Puffed
can
up,
go to the top.
puffed up chest, all that. Yeah,
I, I will
peacocking.
protect you.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you end up losing the people you love,
yeah, man.
and
Uh,
that hits me really hard. And I remember I was with my best buddy, and I left the house because I said, like, I need to recover. I cannot keep drinking like this. I cannot keep losing control like this. So I didn't know what to do, where to go, because I didn't have also like money or anything at those moments,
Mm-hmm.
that moment. But I remember I saw, like, there is a neighborhood that is kind of tough in Mexico, in the downtown Mexico. It's called amidst, and there's a AA group over there. So I remember I just walk in, and there were people in session, and I said, like, hey guys, like, I need some help. And they said, like, okay, you can come next week. We're gonna start on fourth and fifth step, so you're very welcome to come. So I talked to my best buddy, and I said, like, if you want to come, man, let's start doing it. So we choose to start. That was the first step, because I was always against therapy and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can I stop you right there? Why were you against therapy? Like
because
from
my
your
mom is
yeah.
a therapist.
Pardon me. Oh, because she's a therapist.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know. I was always like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to be tagged as a crazy person. I was always afraid that I was gonna end up like tagged or medicated or something like that, and
Mm.
I never wanted to be like that.
Okay.
And because I was always being like tagged all my life
Yeah,
about
yeah.
something
So you just didn't want it
weird.
one more thing on top of everything else. What you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, yeah,
And then I said, like, no, I can do it. I can do it on my own. I was like that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you feel that you can do it, but it's not true. Like,
It's hard,
you
man.
need to go you need to go all the way deep.
Yeah.
So I did fourth step and fifth, and is the facing yourself. I cannot say exactly what you do in there, because it's part of the, in case you need it,
Yeah.
you need to go without knowing. That's but it works. Like, I won't do it again, but it was like going to deep inside to yourself to see where is the root of the problem. Alcohol, drugs, violence, I mean, all those things that you have is a symptom
Yes.
of a bigger disease.
Yeah.
So instead of just quit drinking, it's like if you have headache, and I give you just some Tylenol, and maybe you have a brain tumor. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to go for the brain tumor. It's the same.
Yeah.
So I have to go through all of that.
Yeah.
And my best buddy came with me, and he did the same thing just because I needed.
Yeah. What a good friend.
And oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that guy is my brother, and he lives here in Vancouver as well with his family, everything. And
Awesome.
and and yeah, like after that, like I remember I felt like I needed to heal more things, and I needed to catch up with my family now, because I didn't have contact with them like for years. Then I even live in the States. I live in Europe, my own. It was more like just a few hours with them, and that's it, just to feel like I still have a family, but I didn't feel like attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
They quit drinking, obviously. They start. They started their own process on their own, uh, but it was for me hard to trust again.
Yeah,
There was a
definitely.
lot of damage going
Yeah.
on, and I waited like a year after going to AA to go to actually to go to a therapist, because it's like dating. You need to find the right one. You need to find somebody who you feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable to talk, and you need kind to click.
Yeah.
So met this person, and this person like took me through all this process. Like I said, like, okay, first of all, I already suffer for this woman enough. I already moving on, but I don't want to repeat this.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to know why in the hell I end up in a story like that. Why am I doing? So I can end up in a story so dramatic like that. So I went there to check out, and I have to go through a process to see the type of relationships you're looking for. This Superman effect that they used to call it, the Superman and Clark Kent. Like you show yourself as a Superman, but you need to make them fall in love from Clark Kent, because that's the human version of you,
Okay.
not a
Okay.
super.
Yeah.
You create a false expectation. You always think that you're gonna protect her and you're strong and you're never gonna be beaten. But it's not true. You need to show yourself as a human
Mm-hmm.
so they can fall in love with the real you, the real human that you are.
Yeah. See, I
But
do something like that when um like I date someone. Like first off, like dating them, like getting to know them, is I always give it
yeah,
about 3 months because between 3 to 9 or 3 to 7 months.
Seven,
7, yeah.
seven.
Yeah, it's how long someone can really keep up the persona that they try to be, and then their
yeah,
true colors usually come out around that time.
They said it takes about 7 months to really see their true intentions and who they really
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
So if you see them at 7 and that's how they are, that's how they're going to stay.
yeah.
They
yeah.
say 7, but I mean, you could read. Everyone's a little different. I mean, but I mean, if after a couple months,
I
and
just found out in
I,
2 months.
I I've dated girls where, well, it's just like girls will say the same thing. All these guys are like Superman.
Yeah,
They're whining and dining and holding the door and doing this, and it's not like the rest of them. And 2 months later, he's a piece of shit, and it's like, hey, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it all depends. But I gotta ask you. You mentioned earlier, uh, in that relationship that you lost, that you said that you really loved her, and you mentioned that you realized you were becoming like your parents in that relationship. Drinking, fighting. You know, was it the relationship ending for you to realize that, or did you realize that in the relationship as you were doing it?
No, it was a relationship ending. I was blinded at that time. It was like it was yeah, like you crossed the line. Like we crossed the line in that moment.
hmm
We escalated and crossed the line. So there was no turning back. It was like,
yeah,
no man.
yeah,
Like I need to take care of this because this is not good.
yeah, and it's affecting your life and people around you too, because it'll affect
Yeah,
the
and
next
suddenly
one and the next one.
have a blackouts and stuff like that, and
hmm
suddenly after blackouts, you don't know, like.
Yeah,
And even a friend of mine said, like, Kareem, I mean, those blackouts are kind of dangerous because the next time there's going to be blood in your hands and the police
yeah,
officers. Like, you don't know.
yeah.
Like,
I was,
you need to see that, bro.
yeah,
And, and yeah, I saw it, but it's very curious how life put things in perspective because the exact day that she was leaving, the exact day that she was leaving, I remember I was like getting ready to see her going with another dude. I mean, and I was like destroyed. And that morning they called me and they said like, "Hey, like, are you a friend of this guy?" And I said, "My dad's body." And I said like, "Yeah, is everything okay?" Well, it's not. Like his dad just got killed last night. Like we kind of reached him out. So I was in shock because he's like, so now I have to go and tell my best friend that his dad got killed by some bad guys,
No, no.
and he was in a crossfire, and everything changed. And even she, I remember, like she went like, "She is he okay?" And I said like, "Just you, you just do what you have to do, and I have to deal with this." So I went there. I went to see my friend. I knocked the door. I remember that he opens the door and he was like, "What's up?" Like he was sleeping, and I said like, "Bro, like I hope he didn't see himself in that moment." So I didn't know how to do it, so I said like, "Just sit down, bro. Killed your dad last night. They shot him." Like he was like, "What? You need to call your family right now." So he saw all the text messages. He didn't know what was in shock. And I remember those days, like it was kind of 2006, between 2006 and 2012. The situation got really, really scary where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the East Coast. So that saying like those bad guys, they were very, very bloody
Yeah,
and scary.
yeah. Were they running up and down
So
the streets and all that?
yeah, I mean, on those days they used to go to funerals. I'll kill everybody in the funeral. In those days, like it was really scary to go through to my hometown those days.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm afraid." He told me, "I don't know what to do. I'm afraid, man. I know," but I said like, "Well, it's your dad, man. You gotta go. So let's go. This is my car. I got a 9M. That's it, man. Let's go." So we drive into the car, and I told him like, just be in the backside, like leaning down, and process all the information,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll drive. Don't worry. And I don't know, for just like that, like all that situation that I had about my girl leaving and everything just disappeared. I mean, I was like right with my body, like there was something more important right now.
That's your bro, man. That's why.
So I went there, and that was the same bro that went with me to Double A. So I said like, "No, let's go."
Mm-hmm.
And we went there, and I drove, and as soon as we get into the city, it was like a war zone. Like it was, you can feel the vibe. It was scary. There were military everywhere, and I remember like I was always like watching my six, watching here, watching there. If I was seeing some cars, some trucks, like there's nothing to do, man. Like
Yeah.
I mean, even with that 9M, you're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
You cannot do anything against that. So I was like, okay. So we drove into the city, and you can hear the gunshots far away.
Is it just a
There were a lot of
full out like war against
there was a lot of
pretty much?
yeah, there was a lot of confrontations between military guys and those guys like
Yeah, yeah.
around. So suddenly there was a confrontation far away, suddenly a confrontation over here. So it was kind of scary. So I went to his house. I gave him a moment, and then we went to the funeral. And suddenly in the funeral, we were like, I was always aware. And suddenly a kid came in, like saying, like, "Hey, there are gunshots, gunshots," and they were coming, like chasing each other. And suddenly they parked like 1 block from us, and we start hearing all gunshots. We have to go inside. And I was in that moment like more aware of my friend and his family, and I was like, "Hey, if they come here, like, I just want you to go upstairs to the roof and hide yourself into the water tanks or something, you know."
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing else you can do. Like, it's not like you're gonna be Rambo. That's only the movies, man. Like, this
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah.
And believe me, what you see in TV shows is nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the sweet part of it.
Yeah.
It's only an action movie, but the reality is fucking scary. And even today, I was I was one day walking on Gastown. I was supposed to catch up with some friends. It was like 8 at night. And I was walking there, and suddenly I hear some explosions, and I dropped myself to the floor, and I felt it again, and I felt this fear again, and my heart started palpitating, and I was like just looking around, looking around, looking around, when it was some fireworks like from the park. Somebody was just doing some fireworks in the park
Yeah.
that is Victory Park, I think.
Yeah.
And I just felt it for a second, and I was like,
PTSD right there.
but totally, like
Yeah.
I haven't like if I hear like big noises, I always get like
Yeah. Shook. Yeah.
alert. I mean, even same in my house. Like if I hear like somebody try to open the door, I'd always get very defensive
Yeah.
and looking for ways out. It was just really hard. Like
How do you do,
there's
like, do
something
you still deal with that right now in time, like this moment in time?
like with those
Yeah.
that PTSD.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, I'm gonna have it. Like
Yeah.
it's because I don't know. Like I just went there like this summer, last summer.
Yeah.
I went there like with my girlfriend, well, ex girlfriend now, and I was showing her like all the beauty, you know, Mexico City and my hometown. But at the same time, I was always alert. And even in one moment, she said like, "Oh, this place is beautiful. We should move back in here." And I was like, "Okay, take it easy, because I mean, I just show you the nice part, and it's good, and I
Mhm.
love that part. That's what I miss. But they just kill a guy 2 blocks from here, and you didn't notice. I did. Like they just tried to rob somebody, and they just shoot him right there, and you didn't notice because there's a lot of noise, a lot of sirens, but I saw it like going there, like
You
in the
just you
next.
saw that, like, right in front of your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I just hear the noise and the commotion, and I said like,
Mhm.
yeah, that happened,
Yeah.
but you didn't notice. I did. And no, what I saw in Mexico is like in my hometown, the East Coast. On those days, there was like something really, really. It was really scary even to be in the streets. You used to just go to work and go to your house.
Yeah.
That's it. Not even go to clubs or stuff like that, because on the clubs, I mean, these guys like they used to like your girlfriend and they used to take your girlfriend. And if you say something, they can shoot you or they can decapitate you.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember like in the club, like they put the head of the owner right on the table in the
Really?
middle of
Fuck.
Holy crap.
Damn.
just like that, like. And I remember like once, like the only time I saw it, like it's like I was like driving and I have the red light, like two cars in front of me, and suddenly one truck tried to came against the direction of the cars, and it's when I noticed that something is wrong, and I saw the truck trying to come, and then I said like, oh my god, no, and then I told her like heads down, and then I saw how another truck came here, shoot these guys, and that was my biggest fear because I said like if I'm stuck in here, maybe somebody's coming behind, and I'm gonna be in the middle of a crossfire, and it's when ninety
Yeah.
percent you're a casualty.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be in that situation. You have nowhere to run. So I remember I was just like this. My girl at the time, she was like this, and she wanted to see, and I said like, no, put your heads down. These guys start coming like pointing guns through the windows of all the cars. He came and he pointed me, and they point the people back till the day went to the last corner, and they took the people from that car. They took that car and they flee. And then I got stuck in there. Nobody moved. We didn't know what to do until I said like, okay, let's start going through the sidewalk because the road is blocked now. So we went through the sidewalk, and as soon as we went through the sidewalk, I saw all the dead bodies right there, right next to me. And later on, there was a grenade explosion, like in downtown, or something like that. And it was like, I remember as soon as we crossed the street, we got into the apartment. I mean, that moment, that girl like started like shaking. I was like on the window, seeing like
Mhm.
nobody like came right behind me or something like that. Some suspicious activity. I was just looking like the dead bodies right there crossing the street, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't want like, and you couldn't sleep like because you don't know in what moment like another group is gonna come over and there's gonna be bullets coming like everywhere, you know.
And through
So
your
you sleep
house.
in the floor basically.
Yeah.
You're gonna sleep in the floor, like under the bed sometimes. Like try to say like shit, like just don't wanna go out at all.
How do you think
And
that's affected you? Like, do you think it's PTSD? Definitely, some depression, anxiety.
the the anxiety, yes.
Yeah,
Like in
definitely.
some for many years, like I had it. I had like that part. The explosions, yes. As soon as I
Yeah,
hear explosion, like no fireworks, like I can see the fireworks from my balcony.
yeah,
I'm in the beach, so I got no problem with that. But if I'm unaware and I hear an explosion, I always like turn it. Or if I hear explosions at the far away, I'm always like checking if it's just fireworks or gunshots. Like
yeah.
I'm always like expecting that. And but little by little, like, and that's the thing. Like living in here, like you don't have a gun problem.
Oh man, I live in
Uh,
Surrey, bro. I heard gunshots last
okay,
night. What do you mean?
yeah. I
Last
mean,
night there was shootings.
yeah, well, yeah. Surrey is getting like that,
Yeah,
but it's not as bad, you know, as it
yeah,
was over
down there.
there.
Yeah, definitely. That's a whole different ball game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. Like it's
Yeah,
scary because I mean they used to drop like 20 bodies with no head
yeah,
on the boulevard at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have to see that. And at some point, like you just start becoming, you know, like just
Immune,
just start
like
like
immune to it, numb,
yeah,
numb.
yeah. Just
yeah,
another
you start getting
Monday,
numb.
right? Just another Monday.
Yeah, like you just like go
Mm,
day by day, just stop making plans.
yeah,
That's why they say Mexicans we don't make plans. And it's because of that, because you don't know any recession, like anything like that could happen. Like so, at the end of the day, it's like you live the day, you live only today, and try to make the best of it.
hmm,
But now that I'm here, I feel safe. I mean, I feel like I can walk in the street. Obviously, I'm always aware. I always have that part, but I don't feel that fear. You
yeah,
know, there was a moment when you live with fear, like you are going out with fear all your life, and it's really sad because I remember on those days after the funeral, like I was going out with my friend, and I drove through the boulevard, and we said like it's really sad because this place is beautiful, man, and it's really sad how the vibe, how the people are living. It was even sadder, like being in the funeral house and see more families coming, looking for a spot,
hmm,
try to bury their families,
yeah,
and there was none. Everything was full. It was really, really sad that man. Like, and you will start getting like, I don't know, immune to that, and you start becoming more objective, and you start seeing that like different. You know, like what happened that you see a dead body in front of you. It's you. Don't, I don't want to touch it,
yeah,
but if I have to, like for procedure or something, like I will. But at some point, like you feel blocked. You feel like kind of blocked.
hmm,
But I gotta say, like when I think about it, sometimes I start like my voice start breaking, and sometimes I feel about the victims from that violence like really bad.
yeah, man.
Especially, I mean, for the innocent people.
Yeah.
That's what I.
Well, like your friend's dad there that got in the crossfire.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
wrong time, wrong moment. He
yeah,
didn't have anything to do about it, but
yeah,
it was just in a bar, and they came and they killed everybody in the bar
hmm,
because the owner was involved in something.
yeah,
So it was like really really sad that, and and that's why I decided like I need to live here. I need to get out. I need to start making my life. I need to live. And I felt sorry for the people who stayed, but I said like I'm not gonna do anything in here. Like I cannot help
yeah.
from here.
You got to take care of you, right? You got to take care of number one, because at the end of the day, who's gonna take care of you but yourself is you, man. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
And then I start like this process of myself of healing.
Mm-hmm.
Healing this part, like try to say like, okay, if I want to really change things, I need to start changing myself. So
Yeah.
I cannot keep going for the way I was. So after seeing that, the funeral of my best friend's dad, it was like, okay, let's start cleaning the house, let's start cleaning everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I start going to therapy. That's when I start like actually working to myself, and it's not a one day process. It's like hold your life.
Yeah, man.
It's from now on till the next time. I have to touch base with my family again. I have to forgive my dad and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard to get into that part because I was still feeling a lot of hate, but I learned that he's not the guy he used to be. He's
Yeah.
not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And I was still wanted him to be that guy. So I can prove him that now I'm strong. Now I'm tough.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not that. And then I start knowing him. I start knowing him that he didn't have a dad. He'd never talk about his feelings. Ever. He never talk about his family. He never talk about anything. I didn't even know him. And I lived with him for many years and I never knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And and now I can tell you that he's my best friend. He's the person I love the most. Sometimes I get sad because I feel like I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
And I'm here and he's there. I cannot see them like that often.
Yeah.
I see them once a year, sometimes twice, every 2 years. I spent here like 7 years without going to Mexico. And and now that I see him, I see an old man.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who used to be strong and big, a construction worker.
Yeah.
Now he's old, gray hair, his face, and his pure heart. And I don't expect him to say I'm sorry. He just showed it with actions. Now, if I have a really rough time, I call him, and he's always there, 24/7. Like he's the guy he never been to. And I told my best friend, I said, like, dude, like last year they came here to visit, and it was the first time I think in 40 years that we didn't have a fight. We didn't argue. We just love each other, and it was like love. And in 7 years, my family wasn't together till last year. It was like the first time the four of us were in a table enjoying the life that I will always love to have.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I said like, why? Why I didn't have that when I was a kid? And and then I said like, well, maybe because I needed. I mean, I needed to have that temper. Maybe life put you that because he's gonna put you through something else, and you need to heal this part so you can be ready for what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Even now that I'm breaking up with my girlfriend, it was different, totally different. I mean, and I have a really rough month. I mean, I have a problem at work. Then I have this news. Then there was a tragedy at work. And I was present in that tragedy. So it was a month. February was a month like full of emotions. And I
Yeah.
was holding it, holding it, holding it. And then she was pushing, pushing, pushing. Like she was pushing me to explode. And I didn't. I proved to myself I'm
Good
not
for
that
you, man.
guy.
Self control, man. That's what we preach, right?
On the
Self control.
contrary, I feel like, no, I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna be. No, even if she's pushing me, I don't have to be that guy.
Yeah.
And that's when I told her, like, you don't have to push me like that. If there's anything wrong, you talk. We talk. And she said, like, well, it's because I'm just convinced that you're not for me. Okay. I don't know if she was expecting me to yell and make a big scene, but
Yeah.
I said, like, no, it's okay. The door is open. Nobody's here against their will. Like, it's okay. It hurts, of course, and I haven't had time to cry, but I will. I
Yeah.
told her I will. As soon as the house is empty, I will. It's gonna hit me,
Mm-hmm.
but I know how to deal with that. I know that I'm gonna cry because it's healthy to cry. I gonna yell to my pillow because it's healthy to do it.
100%, man.
Because I know it's not like I'm not that guy anymore, and I don't want to destroy myself anymore. And if I don't want to feed that other animal, I just need to drain
Yeah.
all these feelings. Right moment, right time.
Well, what they
Not gonna be
Well,
crying at work, but
okay, is like we always say, it's when you feel, you heal.
mhm.
yeah,
And us men, especially, oh, we don't cry. You're a pussy. Holding those tears. But I tell you, man, like we're human beings.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
man.
if your body is telling you something, and you're sad, it's okay to not be okay. And if your body wants to cry, man, cry because you're
yeah,
feeling
totally.
that. You have to let it out. Like there is nothing wrong with crying, and even over a woman because you cared about her and it didn't go the way you thought. And I'm really sorry to hear that, but you opened yourself up to somebody. You brought them into your life, whether it's a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. We're humans. We create attachments. We create bonds, and when that bond is gone, it's sad. And you know what? When I went through a breakup, man, I cried. And most guys are like, "I'll suck it up and I can tough it out." No guy cries over a girl. No, man. You know what? If that person meant something to you and sometimes you realize it didn't work, doesn't mean you don't care about them.
Yeah, no,
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry because your body's telling you something. That's an emotion that you need to feel in that moment
exactly.
because you're hurting, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah,
And if I could go back real quick, and when you said um, when you went to your friend's father's funeral, and that's when you realized that was your turning point, right? That was when you went home, you looked in the mirror, and like, man, something needs to change.
yeah,
And we talked about this, last episode. I think is that it takes something big in our lives, and usually negative, for people to really make a change or a rock bottom or this massive eye opener, or now you have a sickness. Now you got to change your lifestyle.
yeah,
And if you guys are listening to me right now, part of this is hoping that some of these rock bottoms that you don't hit before making that change. And most people won't until something really wakes you up in life. I mean, like
Yeah.
you need to do something right now, or you're gonna die. You're gonna end up in jail. You're
yeah,
gonna whatever it is, and that's usually the case. But if you guys are listening, man, is don't get to the point where, because that rock bottom might be that cliff that you jump off of and you can't come back from that. That rock bottom is the moment I decided, almost, and I tried, and I stood on the edge of a hotel, and I was about to jump, and a guy grabbed me and saved my life.
yeah,
But I was going to do it, and that was and if I did that, I wouldn't be sitting here today, and I wouldn't be able to come back from that.
yeah, totally.
So hopefully, when you guys are listening to this and taking from what Kay is saying, what he's been through and what he's seen is, you know, try not to let it get to that point. And us men bury our shit and we push it down. We don't cry. I'm fine. I'll go to work. I'll get over it. We don't get over it, man. All you're doing is just stacking one trauma and problem and stress on top of another. And that's when you hit that breaking point, most people, where it's like, I can't do this anymore. And that's what happened to me as well. And, I'm grateful for it, as painful as it was, because I wouldn't be sitting here and doing this as I am right now. But, hopefully you guys listening is, man, don't, if you know something's bothering you, if you know you're struggling, go deal with it right now. Go start
Yeah,
today. Go start talking to someone tomorrow, right now, whatever. Pick up a phone. and hit
Yeah.
that head on,
Mhm.
because you kept letting that boil over, and you might not wake up tomorrow because you just couldn't take it anymore, and that's it.
Well, Kate, how
So,
do you how does counseling affected you to this day right now? How do you feel?
Well, I mean, I feel like I've been able to manage these situations. Uh, Obviously, it's like not letting like the situation to control you,
Mhm.
but to be strong enough to manage the feelings and give the right time to the right situation.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like like I said, like for example, with my girl, I think like one of the biggest problems, like she's told me, like it's because you don't open up, you don't show your feelings.
Mhm.
And I told her like, well, I mean, I'm not just like an open book crying every day. Like when I cry, I cry. I'll be in the bedroom and I feel comfortable and I cry. And she was like, but you don't cry in front of me. And I said, well, yeah, sometimes watching a movie, but I'm not like to. I don't feel comfortable crying in public. Like I prefer to
Yeah.
have a private space. Because what I learned is like when you are vulnerable, you need to protect yourself. I learned that in AA, like when you open yourself a lot. And I remember there's like you call it here your sponsors.
Mhm.
Uh, you He offers as a sponsor and the person who's supposed to be my sponsor, and I said like to read everything that I saw, and I said like you know what man, like I I mean I appreciate it, but I'll go with some professional help right now because I need somebody who actually knows how to deal with me on this emotional state. Because it could be dangerous if I'm open like this. And I was in the main catharsis. And I said, like, I think it will be dangerous if I'm open like this and you're basing your story. And I
Mhm.
appreciate what you do. But maybe I can now get something from you that is not even mine. Because I'm very vulnerable right now. So I prefer to go with somebody who's trained to actually deal with myself right
Mhm.
now in
Mhm.
that moment. But I'll be honest, like what I learned is that life gives you those messages all the time, but they don't come like you want them to come. They don't come like, hey, K, this is the way. No, they come different, like that moment. Like I have to go to a funeral. So instead of deal with all the personal situation, I went to a funeral and it was like, wow, this is shocking. This is more painful. This is more important. And I'm just drowning for something that it shouldn't be like that.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I didn't feel it because after I came back from that funeral, I deal now with the empty house and the love of my life it was gone. And then I went rock bottom and I wanted I didn't want to eat for a few days. I was like feeling lost. But I cried like for I think I cried like for 5 days straight, maybe. Until I said like, okay, I cry enough. I dedicated enough of this. I don't care if I go 1 millimeter to the right direction, but I will every day. So I started like that, one day at a time. I feel the anxiety because I feel in the memories of the feeling the depression. I'll go out for a walk. I start feeling a voice calling me saying like, "Nah, she's with the other guy," blah blah blah. I applaud, cut it out. That voice is always bothering you. Applause, cut it out. Identify it. I said, nope, no, and don't be at home just all the time. Just I try to start like going out, but not just going out drinking. Like going
Mhm.
out, go for a walk. I got into activities, like maybe learn how to play the piano, something that gives you that 1 hour of freedom. Because what
Mhm.
I learned is that we're always against the clock. all the time, like since the morning to the end of the day.
Mhm.
We're always like, it's 5 o'clock. I only have 20 minutes to take a shower, 20 minutes for this, 20 minutes for that, and we don't have time for breathing.
Yeah, man.
That's when something that gets accumulated, and when something gets wrong in the house, you explode, and you explode with the wrong person, and you put your all your negativity into the wrong person. So the way I do it these days is like I have 1 hour for myself. Doesn't matter if it's just going for a park, going for a walk in the park, but it's 1 hour just for me. Like where I have the freedom to work into my own terms. There's no time, nothing. And it's healthy. It's healthy. And also like get in touch to your friends. Don't be so proud to think that they are always thinking about you and they have to call you. No, pick up the
Mhm.
phone,
Mhm.
call them. And I do that now. Like I sometimes I used to get blocked. Me, myself, my story. No, I pick up the phone now. Like, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Get involved with them
Mhm.
because they love you. They love you. They don't say it, but they do. They think about you. Probably they see you all depressed and they don't want to interfere because they don't know how to approach to you. But if you pick up the phone, they'll be there. The people who love you, they're gonna be there. I mean, I'm very blessed to have those people around me.
Well, the biggest thing too, Kay, is like you said it earlier tonight. Mexicans in general don't make plans
Mhm.
because you never know what's going to happen and if you're going to be here in a month or in 3 months. But regardless of that's your culture or not, people should live like that every day because we don't know. And we might not live in neighborhoods what you grew up in. That doesn't change the fact that anything can happen when you walk outside your house or even inside your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
Freak accidents.
You could choke on
You know
a
what I
GI
mean?
Joe, and I mean, I don't know if you'd be like eating the GI Joe, but I mean, you could choke on anything, man. Whatever, you know.
Well, regardless
Yeah.
of what it
Yeah.
is, right?
Exactly.
Is
I don't know why I said GI
take from
Joe.
what you said, take from what you said, or people listening take from that, and once you find the clarity in your mind in your day to day, because that's what you're shooting for, is not to feel that pain, not to relive traumas, not let old thoughts trigger you. All these tools in the therapies and the counseling so you can live a better life going forward and day to day. But once you create and find that clarity, is now you're able to be in the moment of the day that you're in,
yeah,
right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. Life is short, and you hear it a million times over, and but nobody really takes that in. Is how serious that statement is.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Erick's living proof of that. I'm living proof of that. And you're living proof of that. And in a flick of a switch, a fucking snap of a finger, all of a sudden the phone call you didn't expect, you just got it. Or the phone call your mother just got you at work because of it. You never know.
exactly.
So the biggest thing that people need, and when they go to try to deal with the things they've been through is that clarity
Mhm.
and releasing, not just releasing the pain, but for, like I said, for me, going from 20 years of a polluted mind, anxiety every day, traumas, all this bullshit, I wasn't ever able to live in the moment. I wasn't able to be present with my children, with my father, with my family, because I'm here, but I'm over there.
Mhm.
And that clarity of fixing your core issues and whatever it is that you're dealing with, you have to. Because now, after going through all that I just went through, and doing the therapies and this and that to fix myself, realizing that I really didn't want to feel like that anymore. The clarity that I have today, and you also create more self-awareness because you have that clarity. Now you're able to not get so agitated over little things. You're able to stop yourself before these things trigger you. You're able to do all these other things to keep your life at peace, or more at peace, and just be in the moment. And now I'm able to actually play with my children and be focused on my children and be there with mentally, not just physically,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Definitely.
And now I'm able to smile more. And now I'm laughing in a room, but I'm not the guy that is struggling. Now I'm the guy that's happy or happier in that room. Instead of fighting with that, like we talked about, is the humor, comedy
Yeah.
comes from a dark place. Well, laughter comes from a clear place, a happy place, right? So now
Yeah.
instead of the humor coming from the dark place, it's laughter coming from a clear mind
Mm-hmm.
and a clear heart because I've worked on myself. And that's what you guys need to do,
Yeah.
is whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever it is that you're struggling with, man, you have to hit it head on. As painful as it is at the beginning, best way to fight the demons that chase you is to turn around and face them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
'Cause-
That's all you
Oh,
can do. And most people don't want to do that. They don't want to face those demons, but you have to, because I promise you, the clarity that comes with that, the life that you will live, doesn't matter even if you make not that much. It's not about the money. We all think that all this money's going to make you happy. But for one, it starts here in yourself.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to save you, you know? It's only up to you to make the changes and live the best possible life. And the gratitude, and that was huge for me, is learning to be grateful. Rather, I used to be the guy like, fuck, I don't have this. I wish I had that. And I would be so down because I didn't have this shit. But when I look around, man, I'm just like, I am grateful for the house that I have. I have two beautiful children. I have a great family. I have amazing friends, you know? And it's not the size of the house. It's the love inside your house. And
yeah.
that's one thing that I learned, is the love inside your house. It doesn't matter how big your fucking house is. It doesn't matter that if you're driving a fucking Corvette or a fucking Prius. Because you know what? We all, especially in the Western world, take for granted the things that we do have, and compared to what the rest of the world doesn't have. You look around right now in the house you live in, and you got an average car with a decent little home. You got more than 75% of the people in this entire fucking planet.
I have to do say a lot of women though do say that size does matter.
Yeah.
But
I
and if
think.
you,
Yeah.
so people are so materialistic, but those people are just gonna chase the money for the rest of their life. They chase the bigger house, chase, and then once you get to a point of that clarity, and a lot of us chase these things like retail therapy. Like me, I used to go every 2 years. I had a new car because I thought that would make me feel better. But all I was doing was using that as temporary band aids, just like people do with alcohol, drugs, fucking shopping sprees, gambling, all these other addictions and things, is just to mask their own insecurities and their own struggles, right?
Hmm.
Because I'll feel so much better if I had that. I remember I went and bought a brand new, most expensive car I ever bought, sports car. For a week, I was fucking Superman. A week after that, I was fucking right back down to a broken, shattered, lonely man. And I was struggling. And it didn't matter. And the only difference is I put myself more in debt. And now I just made myself work on top of that. So people got to wake up and be grateful for the things that they do have and not what they don't have. And your life will start to change. Because every morning I wake up, I sit on my bed, as anyone listening should, and just take a look around, take a deep breath, do that breath work Eric was talking about, whatever it is, and be like, you know what, man, I'm pretty damn grateful. I go to work every day. I got a healthy family right now, and now the clarity that you've built in your own mind and in your life is now you can look at these things and be grateful for it and be in that moment and be present. It's being present. You going out for dinner with your friends? Put your fucking leave the phone in the car. What do you need to be on your phone because you chose to hang out with them? You're out with your kids. Put your phone down. Be present. And I just learned this because I struggle with that because anxiety. You're doing this. I'm always lost. I used to be lost in the phone, and I was looking at nothing. But my anxiety and my focus, because I was so lost, I would just use that phone like a band-aid. Same idea. So learning to be present, man. Just whoever you're hanging with, whatever it is that you're doing, just be in that moment and be present. And you'll really start to look at life different. You'll enjoy life more,
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm really, when I got my kids, the same thing, man. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to talk to anybody right now. I'm hanging out with them. I'm going out for dinner with my friend. Why do I need to be scrolling or texting anybody else? That's just disrespectful to the person that you went to hang out with and made plans with, right? It's just being in the moment, being present, and finding that clarity in your life. And that's what you need to do. So, whatever it is that you guys are struggling with, man, I tell you, fucking start making some phone calls and start tackling those core issues.
Definitely. Well, I think this brings this episode to a closing, man. Um, Kay, thank you. I I appreciate you coming out here and sharing your story. And what a story, man. I applaud you for everything that you've been through, and you're still standing here and putting in the work. So, good for you, man, and I'm proud of you for doing that. So keep up the great work. And thank you for coming again, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Kay, you know what, man? You're a hell of a man, and I'm grateful to know you and for you to come on here and open up a little bit. And it was very touching. And moving forward after today, and what like you said, you had a bit of a rough month there, and man, if you ever need to talk to, man, I'm here, and
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best, buddy. And we both thank you very much for being here, and for you guys listening or just tuning in. We are Raw Minds Podcast, the first podcast to do it on men's mental health. We are on all platforms. Uh, Whatever one that you're listening to us on, we're on every other one as well. So you guys are having a hard time out there. You're struggling. You feel alone. You just feel like you just can't make it another day. Give us another day. Reach out to us. Talk to us. Raw Minds Podcast at gmail.com. Myself, Eric, man, and we've even had previous guests on the show. That is a huge support system in the back end that has been through things that maybe we haven't been through, but they have, and they're willing to talk to you as well, whether it's addiction, alcoholism, whatever it might be. So reach out, please. Raw Minds Podcast at gmail.com. That's what we're here for. And we ain't going nowhere, man.
We
We ain't going nowhere. So on my end, if you can't find good people, be good people.
And once again, Kay, thank you, man. Appreciate it. And thank you for everybody out there listening. I mean, life is fucking hard, let's face it. Life is hard. It fucking sucks. Yeah, we're gonna get knocked down, but it's a matter of how many times you're gonna pick yourself up. So keep your head up, pick your ass up, and keep on pushing forward. Because, like I said, this world keeps on spinning, and you got to move with it. Anyways, on that note, be good or be good at it. Bye.
Peace.